And I was convinced into doing this in English. I don't know whether that's actually necessary, but we'll do it in all cases. And I also hope my English is good enough. In Stockholm, somebody told me that I sounded a bit like Schwarzenegger, and I don't know whether that's a compliment. His vocabulary is fine, so it's only the pronunciation perhaps there's something wrong with. Okay, but I'm going to tell you a little bit about some creative concepts, and of course there's a lot of great mobile concepts out there. But I should try to qualify these, so perhaps you'd agree with me that they are indeed great. But just to start you off, with Kirsty, you got a lot of numbers, and I think you were convinced that mobile is here and definitely is going to get even worse, if you could say. And also, I'd like to add to that you're probably already in the business of mobile today. It's not, you don't necessarily have an app or a mobile website or even an SMS campaign or anything. But if you look into your weblogs on your website today, you'd see that you'd have a lot of, you have increasing numbers of visitors coming from mobile devices, visiting your websites with mobile devices. So I could encourage you to do the same thing with your own mobile devices. Visit your own website and have a look at your presence there. How is your mobile presence today? And Martin and Frederick, they told you a bit about the mobile as a concept. And if I should narrow that down, I'd say that it's important to see that mobile is something that your customers are. It's not a device. It's a state your customers are in, and they're in it all day. It's not a niche thing anymore. It's not something you do on the bus or calling somebody, but it's actually the most open channel you have to your customers today, because it's open all the time, and it's all the time in their pockets. So combining these insights, you'll get a great chance at guessing about some extreme value added to customers, and perhaps also what could go and be a box hit. But if you combine this with your own business knowledge and your experience with market and your audience as they are today, you'd probably get a better base for building a real business case on mobile. But before you go to that, it's of course important to remember that you're not Apple. I guess you all know that. But when you hear a lot of these success stories on mobile today, you hear about Amazon, for instance, that are perhaps the best example of a great value added to Amazon. They have this extreme turnover on mobile, but they also have extreme budgets to build this upon. And I'm not sure whether you have these same budgets or even near. So I'm actually going to focus a bit on some lower hanging fruits that perhaps could relate more to your business than an Apple example. But if you feel that any of these concepts that I come up with today are perhaps malplaced, bad, or some great are missing that you know of, you probably know a lot about Norwegian examples that I wouldn't know of, then feel free to use the Twitter hashtag. I've noticed that right now I'm the only one twittering with this hashtag today, though in Sweden when we were there were I think about 17 tweets during the presentation. So that's also, that's also a statement about how mobile is used in these countries. So, taking you through these concepts, I'm going to try to elaborate a bit over these basic user needs that Martin and Frederick they mentioned. They are actually it's a model that we present in Kreuna for helping qualify concepts and helping you qualify them into business cases from this model. So if you place yourself in the middle, knowing your business, and then you see your audience standing outside, then there are these 4 user needs that you could use to evaluate whether your concepts are meeting some of these basic user needs. And as Martin told you, they're not new, but they're definitely even more important when it comes to mobile. And this one is perhaps the most important: efficiency. Because you can't build something that take up users' time today. You can't it's got to be really good if you, for instance, are going to make some game. Then it has to be real good because it will actually take up time. Freeing time instead is extremely efficient. So it could be that you provide some service around a product where users can more easily consume your product by, for instance, seeing an instant timetable. When is the next bus leaving, or when is the next movie going in the theater? Could be an example. Another user need is this need for transparency that we also see a lot on web today. That if you sell a product, you can be for sure that if it's a bit more than a low involvement, then you'll probably be Googled before anybody will purchase your product from you, because they want to know whether this product is actually good. So they don't trust your, let's say you have a TV commercial running. They wouldn't trust this TV commercial for whether your product is good. They'd go Google it. And this is a mobile, there's a real good mobile case for this, because once you're in a store and you're considering purchasing a product and consuming this product, you probably look it up first. So what you can do with this knowledge, of course, you can just provide transparent information to your customers, and we see that a lot in e-commerce today, that a lot of businesses are actually providing user reviews of their own products, so that and thereby providing this transparency and getting some credibility to your sales. Conversation is about joining. It's about talking to your audience and conversation. What do you say? Joining a conversation with your audience in a reliable manner. It's related to this other with the transparency, that you actually have to go in there with a credible and sound dialogue to your customers. And this is also what mobile is really good for, because it's this one-to-one, pretty intimate conversation that you can get up on a mobile phone. And then as the last one, there's desirability, and that's what we really see a lot in these iPhone apps hype that is right now, that everybody wants to be on an iPhone because it's desirable, it's nice. So if you can do something, if you can add something to your own niceness by having a presence on an iPhone, then you can, if you're really lucky, you can have your audience go about and displaying your presence on this mobile. And some great examples are, for instance, the iBeer. I don't know if you've seen it, and a beer that you can pour out on an iPhone was one of the first gimmick-like apps that we saw on the iPhone. And had this been sponsored, for instance, by Carlsberg, then I figured they'd had added a lot to their desirability by just being on this device. So mobile is an opportunity to add to desirability and making people want to talk and want to share and want to interact with you on the mobile phone. So this is a great model, just displaying all this, and I'm going to relate these concepts to it. This is perhaps the most common theme when it comes to mobile solutions today. It is somewhat trying to add to their desirability by displaying themselves as a creative company. And Juicy Fruit, they did this. It's a sugary chewing gum. I don't know if you know it, but it's mostly for kids. So they did this campaign where you could add to your own sweetness by downloading the app, holding it up to your mouth, and then saying something nice to one of your friends. And it could have sounded like this.
You're so sweet, I'm gonna take you out for an ice cream sundae. You the toppings.
Or maybe this one.
You're so sweet, I'm gonna take you home to meet my mom. But don't be scared, she don't bite unless you made her donuts.
See, and what this did was that it actually went into a conversation, and it added some desirability to me if I was to use this. But I was not in the target audience to this. This was actually targeted kids. Of course, it was an iPhone app, but a lot of kids have access to iPhone apps via their iPods, for instance, instead, or via their parents' iPhones. And this was what happened on YouTube, that a lot of kids, and these are just some of those videos I found when I Googled Sweet Talk. I also found some others that I don't want to display here, but they were all pretty nice regarding this campaign because they all went onto YouTube sweet talking and advertising for the campaign, advertising for the chewing gum, and actually going and interact with the brand in a level that's pretty credible to a sweet chewing gum. So it added to conversation with desirability. There was absolutely no efficiency or transparency to it, of course. And what you can add to this is that this is kind of like this is a campaign somewhat going viral, and as with viral is sometimes these creative mobile concepts that you cannot be sure whether this is a sound investment, because viral is a pretty unstable campaigning method when it comes to input-output. But it's a cool example on how it can be done and how it can succeed, actually. See, this is another theme that I see a lot in great mobile concepts right now. It's using the iPhone for or the mobile for as a whole for getting new leads. And this first example is with an iPhone, of course. It's a game. I don't know if you know. It's called Real Racing. It's a game that was popular on the iPhone platform, and it's I guess it's still pretty popular. What Volkswagen saw here was that this game that was a racing game that you could control with tilting and manipulating your phone. It had a great gameplay, and it actually related pretty well to their Golf GTI. That's a car for boys wanting a fast street car for a reasonable amount of money. So in America, instead of buying any media for the 2010 version of this car, they instead bought their way into a game. So they bought a special version of Real Racing. It's called Real Racing GTI, and you can download it still, and it's still a pretty popular app in the App Store. And what you can do there is that you can drive one of the GTIs and encounter in a racing game. There's also some social dimensions, so that you can share your lap times with your friends on Facebook, and thereby displaying some of your racing skills, and at the same time also, of course, advertising personally for this GTI 2010. What's exciting about this is that this was the only media that Volkswagen decided to buy for GTI 2010. So they didn't buy any TV commercials or anything. They just bought their way into this app. And what it led to, of course, also was that they earned a lot of media. If you Google GTI today, you'd see a whole lot of article, a whole lot of PR on this concept and on this car because of the way that they did the advertisement. So it's a pretty nice example, but of course also, I guess, pretty expensive. So let me just see here. That's why I brought this more inexpensive example to add to it. It's from the World Cup series, Football World Cup this summer in South Africa. And the Danish national team were there, and Arla, the dairy company you know, they were there as well, supporting the Danish national team. And that's why they had this small application built, and what it did was that it showed the upcoming games, and it showed the results from the games during the World Cup that had been played. And there was a lot of apps doing that at the time. If you went into the App Store, I think you could find about 20 different apps all doing this. But what this app did extra was that it had a vuvuzela. There was also other apps having a vuvuzela, but this app became a popular way of sounding this instrument that was perhaps the most popular instrument this year. And also it had the opportunity for a spectator to display a yellow card or a red card to the television in the end, of course. But it went pretty popular, and it was downloaded by 14,000 14,000 Danish people during the World Cup, and it was opened 150,000 times during games where people went and shouted the vuvuzela or some of the other effects that were to it. And if we look at the investment into this application, they could have instead bought about 2 million banner displays on a Danish popular website. This would perhaps have led to about 6,000 clicks. So where you had 2 million displays and 6,000 clicks, instead here they had 14,000 users and 150,000 users. Whether these two can be compared is of course up to you. It depends on what the message is. But here the message was that Arla supported the team. So they chose to have a campaign that actually had you support the team together with Arla, and I believe that this is a deeper interaction and a deeper interaction with the brand than just a click on an informational banner. And of course, I added the efficiency to it because you actually also had some regular efficiency that you could see what games were coming up and on what station they were showed. This is a Norwegian example. It's Dagens Dikt, and it's made for Gyldendal here in Norway, and it's targeted their poetry reader audience. Still, it's of course only this was an iPhone app, so it's only advertised in the App Store. So what Gyldendal figured was that there's a discrepancy between the regular poetry reader audience and the iPhone user audience, and this discrepancy can actually just be used as a new as a segmented advertisement channel. So they released this this free app that every day show a new modern Norwegian poem to people who've downloaded it, and you can download it and you can try it. What it also does is that you are allowed to favor up to 10 different poems that you can then take and read again later, or you can share them via Facebook and thereby add to your own Facebook social presence that you actually read poetry and you read modern poetry. And you can take this, and you can also take this and buy it in their web shop. So once that's done, once you have a channel for buying poetry via the mobile phone, then you've also actually set up a new channel that should be pretty easy for you to implement after this. Because at least in Denmark, I see a lot of posters today on literature. Because as a new way of advertising for literature, you see posters with the author coming on and then displayed as perhaps how you would earlier display a rock star on a poster and then with the book. But once you invest in all this offline, because offline is terribly expensive to do, then you could as well place a small SMS code or a barcode to it, and have mobile users go scan it and then go directly to the mobile web shop where you could buy this book. So instead of having 10,000 posters all over Norway, you could have 10,000 points of sales all over Norway at the marginal cost of 0, because printing barcodes doesn't cost you anything. The only thing that will cost you is to build the mobile web shop. So, but that has to be done only once, of course. So that's why this is a pretty nice concept, I think. This is another thing you can do. You can build loyalty by simply being friendly. This is also what we sometimes call a brand butler, a service that is served to everybody, but with the kind regards of some brand that thereby add to their brand value by just being friendly. This is an example from Q8, the gasoline company, and they've built this app that lets you easily find the nearest gas station. This is pretty simple. It's the app is called Find Tank, meaning find a gasoline station, and this is also exactly what it does. See, a lot of people would go into the App Store and actually search for a feature like this to find the nearest gasoline station, but they wouldn't go search for whatever Q8 wanted to tell them, because that's not the way the App Store works. And that's definitely not the way it works for gasoline stations. They don't have that loyal customers that they'd go and look for a Q8 application. So instead, they built this FinTank application that does exactly what it says, and thereby they had no dissatisfied users of this application. It has great ratings because it does exactly what it tells. And it doesn't only, of course, find Q8 gasoline station, it finds every gasoline station nearby, and thereby it's actually useful to me if I'm about to run out of gas in my car, no matter if I have any brand preferences or if I just want to find the nearest gas station. But this is, again, to the marginal cost of 0 to Q8, and thereby they can afford this application. And what it did to Q8 was that it was the second best PR value they had ever had in Denmark. And the best was a free donut campaign, and we can't beat that, of course. But coming after this was this application. So, and if we relate that to other PR measures that they had, it was a great investment because of the pretty simple app that actually does this. And the next step is, of course, to build this relationship, because once you have your app in the pockets of a lot of people, and perhaps even a lot of disloyal customers, then you can build loyalty by adding value to perhaps, if you see the right screen, it's an up next feature that could help you improve your driving abilities by comparing your mileage to your gasoline use. If you have a loyalty card from Q8, they could match these numbers together and help you drive better. This is some other thing that I really think will be pretty attractive to a lot of you, to optimize conversion rate, to have the mobile being used for optimizing conversion. If you perhaps have a touch point with your customer once or twice a week or a month or a year selling, the mobile phone could be another channel to have a lot more touch points and a lot more conversion to whatever you're selling. This is an example that's pretty relevant. It's Betfair. They now let you bet via your mobile, and it's obvious, because before that I had to place a bet, go to a game, watch the game, go home, and then collect the money if I won. Today I can go to the game, I can bet on the next goal scorer, and if I'm at the game, I sometimes see. I think I get a lead for seeing some guy performing well, and I say I'll bet on him as the next goal scorer. So there's a lot of new touch points that Betfair can get with me during a game, instead of me just placing a bet before. Also, they can release the money I won instantly, and I can replace this money as a bet again. And Svenska Spil, they've seen this with the website, and also ATG, that are horses in Sweden. They've also seen it and even built a web application, because they want to increase conversion by being on the mobile phone. This is another place where I think you'd all actually, I think most of you are actually here already. You send out mails to your clients. You have some newsletter, and the sole reason for you sending out a newsletter is that you want people to click it. You want people to go to your website and read some more, and perhaps in the end buy one of your products. If the mail you get actually look like this, there's a risk that clients will not read it, because it's not easy to read on the mobile phone, that mail over there. So you could already today consider redesigning at least your web template so it will look nicer. But then what you wanted them to do was to click an email. And let's say I click one of these. This is actually done pretty good, also actually by the same company, Version 2, a newspaper. they had the website looking nice on my phone when I clicked it. See, with your newsletters coming out, there's a small chance that people will read it more than once. I, for myself, when I get these commercial emails, I'll read them once. And if I read it on a mobile phone, and if it's presented really bad, I won't give it the same attention. And that's, of course, because it's not so easy to give attention being displayed bad. And should I click a mail and go to your website and it still doesn't look nice, then I'd again find it hard to give it the real attention. And there's one thing that's pretty sure that it is that I won't read your mail twice. And I think you'd find the same if you look into your logs on your newsletter, that it's never or seldomly read more than once. So by optimizing your email campaigning for more devices, both desktop and mobile, you'll probably see better conversion rates as well. This is a pretty innovative example on how you can enable consumption. It's a ferry operator in Denmark. It operates connections from Jutland to Zealand. And they've built an app that once I take it and I open it, it locates me via my GPS, and it tells me whether I can make the ferry to the other side. See, via the GPS, they know whether I'm interested in going from Zealand to Jutland or from Jutland to Zealand. So if I'm in Copenhagen, I open the application, it'll tell me that I can make the 12 o'clock ferry from Odden to Aarhus, for instance. And I can even tell the application that I'm actually going to some other city in Jutland, and it will tell me when will I be there if I take this ferry. So the reason this is pretty exciting is that there's also a bridge, as you may know. So I can just drive there. I'm not necessarily bound to the ferry, and that's the big challenge to this company, that a lot of people don't want to drive all the way out there to Odden and then wait in line for 2 hours because they didn't make the ferry. So by having this application, they actually make it easier, or they perhaps make it even possible for me to consume this product that they have. So it's a great example on how you can use mobile and use the GPS to enable your customers into easily consume your product. So if you see any obstacles into consuming your products today, maybe mobile can be used to enable customers. See, this is about exploring some new business models. As you've probably seen in the App Store, you heard about some application like Angry Birds that people actually make money on selling applications in the App Store. This is a new business model. Of course, Microsoft, they've been selling software before, but today a small developer has a great channel for selling applications. Another thing that hasn't been that easy to sell these internet years is content. We've seen a lot of newspapers trying to find out how to make money on the digital content because they see falling subscription rates on the paper version, and they want to find out how to make money on the digital version. And it practically didn't work. You haven't seen many newspapers making money on content on their websites. But tablets, they're coming. Just iPad is supposed to be selling about 40 million next year, and these other tablet versions coming from Android and Windows platforms are perhaps 60 million. So there's going to be a lot of tablets. Tablets this next year. It's one of the big trends now, this has led Wired and Vogue and Better Homes and Gardens that they altogether represent these 130 million subscribers and 300 million readers. They've joined in a merger called Next Issue Media that's supposed to explore this as a business model. Is this the nice platform that we can actually make money on content on? They want to find out. So they're going to do some research into this. But as you've probably seen, there's a lot of papers already going there because perhaps they're desperate, perhaps they're just going happy-go-lucky on this one. But one of the papers is a small Danish newspaper called Nordjyske, They just went ahead. They made a pay application that lets you read a special issue of a newspaper. It's a paper that's it doesn't exist in an offline version. It's exclusive media, and it's an application that you can download for your iPad. I guess you can also download it here in Norway. I don't think it's locked to Denmark, and you can buy their issues. It's published 2 times a week. They have 5 journalists working on this, and they have 4 programmers working on it, and they have 1 graphics guy working on it. So it's 10 people working full time to build this content here, and it's out 2 times a week, and it's 18 kroner, so it's about 20 norske kroner per issue. This is targeted people with an iPad, and it was actually released before the iPad was officially released in Denmark, and it's targeted businessmen with a global outlook. That's a target group in the northern part of Jutland. So it's a really small target group, and there's hardly any business model in it right now. But Nordjyske, they're known to go ahead before this. But I'm not sure whether you can actually find a business model in this, but we're going to find out. Some that are probably going for the more sound version of this paid content is The Economist. They've simply done Print 2.0 with their iPad application here. It's an iPad version of the Weekly Economist magazine. And the only extra value it has, besides being, of course, wrapped into this nice iPad, is that it has a read out loud functionality that the paper version, of course, doesn't have. And then there's this other thing. It is that I can download the application and get it for free, and I can get 1 or 2 featured articles for free as well. So they actually also get a point of sale in the App Store that they wouldn't have, because today they're only in special selected kiosks in all over the world, of course. So if I'm about to get inspired, if I'm considering buying it today, I would have to go down to the magazine stand and look around in the magazine physically. Here I can just, anywhere I am, just download it from my couch, and then perhaps read an article, and then do the conversion on the spot. So this is probably a more sound business model than the one you saw from Nordjyske, because it's actually reused content. See, mobile can also be the whole package. If you, I'm sure if there's some of you marketeers among here, you'd know the AIDA model for attention, interest, design, action, meaning that you meet the customer in some state where you actually first want to draw the attention, then build the interest, and then desire, and then in the end you want them to convert. Mobile can do that for you. Here's the Norwegian example of Dolly Dimple, the pizza place, I think you know, the pizza chain. And they had an iPhone application built that lets you buy the product, so you can actually do the whole thing on the iPhone. And they saw until now that some of 10% of their online orders were through this channel. And if we look at the iPhone penetration on the mobile market, that should be perhaps most of the iPhone users that they have today are now using the application instead of the website. And then they saw some other interesting thing, that was that values on orders were actually higher than on the regular online site. So this could be interesting, of course. But adding to this AIDA model, we could add the delivery and consumption. This is what you know from iTunes today, that you can browse music, find and get inspired by music, listen to small pieces of music, and then you can buy it, and you do the consumption of the music on your iPhone. You'd go listen to it, and this is a great example on the whole consumption package. This is from Stockholm, and it's a to-be solution. It's in the making. But the main goal here is to add this experience to the library use, so that you could end up not only borrowing a physical book, reserving physical books, reloaning them. You could also download an audiobook or an ebook to your mobile and then have it read out loud or read it on your phone, so you do the whole consumption on the mobile as well. So if you have a product that's digital enough for consumption, or maybe adding to consumption value by using the mobile channel, this is obvious, because we see now that users are really interested in doing consumption with their mobile phone as well. Then there's this one. It's probably the most inexpensive thing you can do right now, and it's just bandwagoning with all of these services being used all the time right now. And of course, Facebook and Twitter would be the ones you definitely heard of, and of course Google. And then there's some new with the Foursquare and GoWalla that are these location-based games that also both Frederick and Martin and Kirsty told you about. This is some examples from Denmark. It's DSB. The train operators. If I check in with Foursquare on one of their local train station, I'd get a small tab up there saying special nearby. This special could be, this is a fairly new one from the Copenhagen train station, that if I'm the mayor, if I'm the one who have checked in recently the most into this train station with my Foursquare account, if I'm the mayor on the 21st of December, then I'd get a free trip to Hamburg on the train. And it's all it costs DSB to be here is of course the train ride that they already own. So it isn't the same cost to them to give it to me, of course. But it's a way of actually being on the mobile channel without having any upfront costs to it. And of course, it has to relate to whether this is your target audience, whether you're actually looking to meet these customers, because they are a special bunch using these location-based services. I've checked Foursquare. I checked in here with Foursquare, and I saw we were about 4 others than me at the time I did it. I don't know if any of you have checked in right now. So yeah, some, but still not the majority by far. And this is some small research I did myself at the recent game between FC Copenhagen and Panathinaikos here in December, and 114 people were checked in, so that's an extreme large number. 114 users of Foursquare were checked in at the game. But looking at how many people were actually there was about 36,000 people there. So it's still a pretty small number who've actually checked in at the venue. Still, looking at August, I did the same thing at the FCK Rosenborg game, and there were far less checked in. It was only 0.14% checked in. So if we do trending from that, we'd see that perhaps a dashing 1.5 to 2% will use this in 2011. Of course, this has to be driven by some great loyalty bonuses, and as you saw, a trip to Hamburg could actually pretty much increase how many people will go to the train station in Copenhagen and check in with their Foursquare account, and thereby interacting with DSB for a pretty low cost to DSB. And this is something that I suspect a lot from this coming time. Also, Facebook deals are a reality in the States at least, and we're waiting to see them also in Denmark pretty soon. And that's going to provide the exact same thing, the possibility for you to be on the mobile channel without any upfront cost, but only bandwagoning with what people already use. And you got to give me that a lot of people use Facebook today. This is somewhat expanded experience. It's what GoWalla does, and I saw that there were more GoWalla users here than there were Foursquare users at least checked in. They add something to it that you can have a trip. So you can, if you're perhaps running a ski resort here or anything with places, then you can add a trip to GoWalla, and GoWalla users will see this trip and can do the trip and can even contribute with pictures of themselves using the trip, so they can actually add to your online presence by user contributing pictures and messages and reviews of your places. And this is also at the upfront cost of 0. So it's also a pretty exciting example, I think. And this is of course obvious. Twitter is mobile. So if you use Twitter today, then subscribers to your Twitter feed will see them on their mobile phone. So if you're just looking to tell your audience something, perhaps tell them today we're 20% off of anything, then you can use your Twitter profile and have it your audience react pretty fast to it. If you do time-limited offers and you tweet them out on your Twitter profile, then you'd see that reactions are getting pretty good, because people could just be 20 meters from your store when they read the tweet. And we see some example on that in Denmark. This is from one of these Groupon concepts that are, I think there are about 10 different Groupon concepts right now in Denmark. This one is downtown, and it lets you react within a day on a time-based offer that's only released if you are perhaps 20 people all doing it. So with Twitter, you can get the offer on your phone, and if you like it, you can retweet it instantly, and then have other people also come having the same discount enabled to them. So it's a great example on, again, how you can just use what people already are using. See, I'm going to end up with some advice, as Frederick and Martin did, but this is pretty operational, I think. What you should start to do is that you should start with setting up an authority in your business, because what we've seen, I've been working with mobile concepts in Denmark and mobile business cases also for 2.5 years right now, and what we've seen up until now is that who's interested in mobile in the businesses are somebody in communication, and it's not necessarily a decision maker or someone with a budget entitled for mobile. But what we also see with the ones who actually succeed with their mobile business cases is that these are the ones that have it on decision maker level, and that would be my suggestion to you as well. Put it up there and get a budget on it, because you don't get it for free. You need to invest, and if you use some of the free services like Twitter, still you need to market for it, and you need to have a marketing budget to it at least. If you do applications and whatever you do, don't care so much about downloads. It's not the sacred measure. Even though you hear a lot of numbers on how many times things were downloaded, it's of course the frequency of use. If we look at how you use applications, then I've seen numbers such as only 6% of applications were opened more than once. So that means a lot of download, but not so much use. So frequency of use is of course more interesting, and at the least, value is the most important, because you need to add value to users and you need to add value to yourself. For instance, more conversion to your shops would be the real value to go measure, not how many downloads you had in the App Store. And then, of course, when you do these KPIs that are not just downloads, put real money to it, because mobile has to be a business case. You can't just do it because of hype. You need to do it because you expect to earn money on it, and you can only do that if you put real money value to KPIs. When you do apps, and you could do apps, you could do mobile web, you could do SMS campaigning, but when you someday will do apps, don't go and publish the Acme app. That's with that example was the Q8 example, for instance. Because if you do that, then you end up disappointing people. If we had done the Q8 app, then perhaps customers would be dissatisfied or disappointed that they could not order new gasoline there, or oil for their oil-heated houses. So you end up disappointing people. Also, we could by doing the single-purpose, single-focus app called Find Gasoline Station, we could target some audience that wouldn't wouldn't look for Q8 in the App Store. And you could do the same by looking at helping everybody, not only your customers, with a single focus application. And then make it desirable. That should be obvious, because if it's desirable and if it's easy for me to share that I'm using this application, then it's far more easier for me to help you advertise your product. And that's what you see a lot in Facebook today. On a lot of these status updates are about what I'm doing, what I'm using, what I'm consuming. And then update, because if you do an application, then it will go down, because there are these algorithms showing popularity in the app stores today. They're calculated over recent activity. So even though you had a lot of downloads, then if time goes by, a new application come up, and even though they have less downloads, they'd go past you in the rates or in the lists of popular apps. So if you do an update, then you have the opportunity to add more value to customers, but also to have more downloads and thereby staying relevant to your audiences. Should you do web, then remember, this is by far the most important point to all of you who have already invested in your web presence, having a CMS, having editors, having routines around your websites. Perhaps you have built it into your ERP systems and other intelligence that you actually use your website for making money in the end. Then don't go buy a mobile portal. Don't set up an RSS feed from your website so you only publish news to some different looking mobile portal that doesn't do any interaction. If all your interaction is on your CMS, then have your mobile audience go there so you can do the same tracking. You can recognize them with Google Analytics, and you can serve them with the same login and all the stuff you want people to do on your CMS today. Have your mobile users come there, because they're going to come there anyway. So this would far be the most sound way to serve your mobile customers. Because mobile web is not a setback. It's not this just read a feed user interaction you can get there. It's actually pretty enthusiastic users that interact and use a lot of time also on mobile web solutions. So you should have them on your mobile website as it is today, and that would be easier for you to update as well, of course. And it can look absolutely as nice as an app. So that's not a great reason for doing apps that you want to look nice. You can look nice on mobile web as well. And then if you go into this, and if you're going to develop perhaps a new web presence within the coming time, then put mobile first. Have mobile thought into your digital solutions from the start, from the beginning. And if you Google this mobile first, you'll see that this is actually a Google imperative, and they have done a lot of videos with some great examples on how to put mobile first. So I suggest you should go Google mobile first later on. If you do this, then you have a great integration. Editing one place and updating everywhere could put you in a position to use your CMS, because as you've learned over the last 10 years, then with the CMS you get to separate content from design and hierarchy, so that you can have non-techs actually building or maintaining your website and filling content into it. With mobile, the only thing you actually need to add to this is a layout switch, so that the same content is served in a mobile rendered manner. Where we've done this is with this pretty focused service on the DSB trains in the Copenhagen area. It has recently installed a TV in the train, and though there were some complaints over sound in the trains, and sound's been put up in the meantime, then they've decided to put some services into it. And what you cannot see here because of the contrast is a bald chef, and he's a popular chef in Denmark, and he's every day on the screen telling about a new simple recipe that that people could use for dinner, so they get dinner inspiration. When you see this on the television, he chops some meat, chops some vegetable, and does something to him, and you get out of the train and you wouldn't remember a thing. So it has some leads built in, so you can easily send an SMS with a short code in it, just saying mad. And if you do that, you'd get an SMS with the ingredients that you need and a small how-to, but also you'd get a link to see the video on your mobile phone. And if you have an iPhone, then you'd see it on an iPhone application. If you have anything else, an Android phone or a Windows Mobile or Windows Phone perhaps, then you'd see it as a website on your mobile phone, and you'd be able to see the videos and even build your own shopping list from it and share that shopping list. All of this is edited one place in one CMS, and this CMS serves a nice desktop presence. So if I go to the website, it's called madpåfarten.dk. If I go to this website from my laptop, I'd see a nice designed website with video. If I go to it from my mobile phone, I'd see a mobile rendered optimized site, but it's still the same page, it's the same URL. So if I decide to share that URL with other friends via Facebook or via anything, they still get their optimized version, whether they come with a mobile or come with a desktop. And there's even put in integration with the SMS, so that if I have an older phone that wouldn't go to the mobile web, being one of the few as of now, and definitely as of the future, then I can still get the service. So it's thought of as an inclusive solution instead of just exclusive to, for instance, iPhone users as an iPhone application. And it's pretty simple if you just base it on the CMS. So right now they are building an Android app for that, and that's also easy because of the infrastructure set up from the start, thinking integration instead of just thinking exclusiveness to one platform. And those were actually the concepts I had today, and you should of course feel free to scan that if you know what it is. Otherwise, I'm just going to say thank you for listening.